Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a terrific set of sessions. I was able to duck into a few of them for a little while. They looked fascinating.
We've had such good questions and such wonderful answers that we're not going to be able to get to many, but we'll have one last question, and we'll ask only those people who want to respond and to be brief, and then the dean is going to close it out. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I am Richard Dong, a 10th grader at San Marino High, SoCal. And here's my question. As President JFK once said, leadership and learning As President JFK once said, leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. We all have our views, but how do you interpret this quote, and what is your advice and expectations for the younger generation in the country and other countries like China and India? Because leadership is universal with no age limit. Thank you.
That's a great question in the end, because the end of a forum dedicated to John F. Kennedy. What about your advice to the young from many countries?
Why are you looking at me?
Well, he started with China.
As we say in Kentucky, I'm not a foreigner.
I didn't know you cited the Kentucky, but go ahead.
I thought we were only going to, that's a
yes,
difficult
please.
question.
Who would like to answer?
Because I think it's, we're so unique in this country in that we have such freedoms. And for a lot of other young people in other countries, they don't have the liberties, the freedoms that we do here. So I want to tell them to pursue their dreams, but I don't know what their restrictions are. I don't know what their cultural environments are. I would hope that they would work hard, that they can pursue their dreams, but I can say with certainty here in America that that indeed is true. And to an American young person here, I would say, find your passion in life, go after it, and never give up.
I was thinking, Joe, that Bobby Kennedy, some most famous speeches, like as in South Africa, were to young people of other lands.
One of the things that I took from the Peace Corps, and I've tried it out in some other countries that I've traveled to, in Africa and other places as well. You find kids along the sides of a road or a beach or someplace, and they can be dirt poor in rags, but they're playing with something. And you might not speak a word of their language, but if you take a ball and throw it, they'll throw it back. Kids are kids, and kids know how to play, and kids want to play, and people are people. And there's a great story that Mark told, I think, Timmy had told at a Peace Corps event honoring your dad, which I'm going to steal, sorry. But when Sarge was out, I want to say in Kenya, driving along as part of a delegation someplace, and saw some native Kenyans that didn't know who he was, didn't speak a word of the language, and he and the armed delegation there started to get a little nervous because Sarge stopped the truck, jumped off it, and ran on over to him, put his arms around him, and walked back with him and introduced him to the security detail that was guarding your dad, and they had no idea what to do, and Sarge thought it was the greatest thing and was conversing with people that didn't speak a word of English, and he didn't speak a word of whatever language was, but it was a grand old time had by all. And Timmy's anecdote there was saying, danger isn't always danger, and different isn't always foreign. And there are connections that unite moms and dads and parents and kid to kid, and they are undoubtedly limited by structures and societies and sometimes cultures beyond their control. But there is undeniably a connection that is very human and very real. And you know it because every time I've tried about throwing that ball, somebody will take it and throw it back. And so the question is how can you, I think for us as a country, in these uncertain times, are you going to fear that difference? Or are you willing to bet on that common humanity and reach a hand out and say, race, creed, color, geography, language, all of that at its heart doesn't matter, because there's a connection there with us.
I think part of the question was also how do you communicate with young people, no matter what country they're from. And I have to say that when there are those difficult days, the most optimistic times I spend in this job are when I talk to young people, whether it's young people who are from other communities or it's fifth graders in schools that I represent. So I think a message for young people, no matter whether it's China, as you mentioned, India, or other countries around the world, we have high expectations for you. There are a number of issues that globally we are going to have to grapple with, and I have full confidence, and I know that our young people are up to the task because they inspire me. They keep me going when I talk to high schoolers and college students. So I think despite the stress of the past few months, I'm optimistic about the future, and I think that's a message we need to spread to young people around the world today.
I'm also very optimistic, and I often, with 4 young children, I spend a lot of time with people in their 20s, and my message to young people is spend more time with people that are older than you. And sometimes your greatest teachers are in your own home, sitting next to you, driving you to school, at your own kitchen table. I think we can do a much better job connecting generations in this country, sharing wisdom, and telling our stories to one another. I think there's so much to be learned from someone your age to me and someone your age talking to me. And I think one of the things I talk a lot about with Alzheimer's is one of the quickest way for people to get sick is to be socially isolated. And that, I think, is an epidemic that we're seeing in this country of loneliness. We have 10,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day, and society tells them they're done. And nothing could be further from the case. There's so much wisdom well beyond your school with people who are twice, 3 times your age. So I think I would say to young people, go seek out somebody who's your grandparent or your grandparent's friend. Talk to them about what they've learned. Talk to them about how they have come to see leadership change over time. Talk to your mother, another woman, about her journey. And learn, because sometimes your greatest teachers are the person sitting next to you in the chair. So that's what I tell to young people. People who are older are pretty wise. So listen to them.
That's great. One more.
You started asking Joe about his, what is it like to live up to his name or something like that. And I just wanted to shout out to Caroline, who worked so hard her whole life, living up to something that's impossible to live up to. And I'm so proud of her. For her speech this morning, for the way she's raised her children, her marriage, her whole life. And so much of this comes alive, this in the library, really because she wears it all so elegantly and effortlessly, and that's leadership. So I just wanted to say that.
This is a very hard ending for me to top, but I want to close by emphasizing how we at the Kennedy School today draw inspiration from John Kennedy. We are proud to be the John F. Kennedy School of Government because we strive to change the world in the way that he urged, to ask what we can do to help other people. I believe so strongly that each of us has both an opportunity and a responsibility to engage in public life in ways that can make everyone's life better across this country and around the world. And we can think of no better way to celebrate the centennial of John Kennedy's birth than rededicating ourselves to that mission. In 1966, Jackie Kennedy said that John Kennedy believed one person can make a difference and everyone should try. Those are words for us all in this room and in the Kennedy School community and in the world as a whole to live by. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Congressman.